We partnered with a research company in the UK called Decipher, to really understand consumer habits around online video consumption, mobile video consumption, and how that splits smartphone and tablet. And I think we came into the research thinking, trying to understand the question, is the tablet the new PC for the future? And actually we came away from the research and learnt that actually it's not the device. And we've been talking about that in the online video business for a long time, about screens as screens, but actually the data has never really been there, and it's only growing now because of the usage and the number of units that are in the market to actually be able to create and really understand that story. And I guess the big point for us is that for planners to really buy, and we talk about online video, it's quite an interesting term, the word online video, because the reality is that when people think online video, they think PC video. And they've moved money from TV to PC video rather than TV to video on other platforms. And actually the research told us that the consumer doesn't care. The content is the content, and they will access it on any device. Contextually might be different. I have my smartphone in my pocket, I may be sat somewhere waiting for something, and I may use it on smaller periods of time. But the tablet is actually on most people's laps at home now, whereas that would have been a PC or going to another room to get to the desktop kind of 5, 6 years ago. And the tablet is now on everyone's lap when they're watching TV and doing that multitasking thing that all consumers do. So the reality is that when we look at video consumption is now taking place, and the consumers are way ahead of where we are in advertising, and because the consumers are buying these products, using these products on a daily basis. And we need to understand as an industry, how do we get closer to finding the consumer at the right time in a place where they're receptive to brand advertising messages. And I think that's the key, and the big piece that we took away from the Decipher research was actually, it was more a rally call for planners, kind of throw away the planning rule book a little bit, because TV just didn't move to PC. Hold on to your hats, because it just moved from PC to be PC, smartphone and tablet. So you should be planning video agnostically across all platforms and finding your consumer at the right time. And nicely, that plays to YuMe's message. We're about brand advertising across multi-platform. So it's a nice takeaway, and I think it's actually something that the planning community and the buying community in the UK and in the US are taking notice. I think the UK has been a thought leader across, at least from the advertising agency's perspective. We did away in many cases across the agency teams with the traditional broadcast team and turned them into AV teams, audiovisual teams, more than 5, 6 years ago, with the sole premise of understanding where the consumers are going. I think, and that has been baked into most of the large agencies, and I would suggest even into some of the smaller independents now as well. The reality of what that looks like is that broadcast still takes an awful lot of the market share in terms of all media, and therefore when an agency planner is planning TV, they now get to look at the broadcast alongside the broadcaster's video content online, on smartphone, on tablet, wherever that might be. But they now have this plethora of other places as well, and I think that's the next leap, is to understand, am I reaching the same consumers if I'm a broadcaster via their TV broadcast, PC and platform? Is that the same user? So do I need to go and get extended reach somewhere else where these other consumers have been hanging out, or now watching video or whatever that may be on other platforms? And I think that's the piece that we're slowly learning. I think that we are definitely have moved to a place where online video gets planned and bought within the TV structure to an extent. There's still some ways to go, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I think the reality of, and it goes to my earlier point, is that that's still TV and PC online video, and where people spend time on smartphones and tablets now is talked about but actually not put into that branding. So I think that's the next step. How do we get to understand where consumers are? And the next stop on that train, because it keeps on rolling, is the connected devices, the smart TVs, Xbox and PlayStation, you know, games consoles, and how I consume on those, because those platforms have huge audiences, in some cases that replicate a TV channel all by themselves. So understanding how I plan and buy for those, not just for my consumer just left the broadcast stream, is now watching online or catch up via a PC. It's about those next steps as well. And you know, and I think there's an element of we're in the discovery stage at this moment in time. We're not quite there in terms of the actual true delivery, fully integrated, you know, out of every plan and out of every buy. But you know, these things, it took 50 years to get TV to where it is now. We work with all the various points of contact within and we call it the connected TV world, but actually it's quite it's even broad within that. So you have the smartphone, the smart TV OEMs, the Samsungs and the LGs. We have the streaming media boxes, the Rokus, which are not so large here in the UK, but larger in the US, as you know. Then you have the games platforms, and then you have the applications of the media owners who actually sit on those devices and stand alone on those devices as well, and in many cases are quite a lot larger than the actual platform usage themselves. So people go through this portal, whether that be on a Samsung or an LG, and then spend quite a lot of time with a BBC on that device, or a football app, or whatever the application you might choose to do. And we integrate across the whole spectrum of those. So our technology allows us to embed our software at the OEM level. In fact, we have partnerships with both LG and Samsung globally, and also on the games devices as well. And then at the application level, because the application level is much more similar to an application across the smartphone and the tablet world, so it's a very natural progression for us. So we work with all of the gamut of the myriad of opportunities. So wherever there's an opportunity for a consumer to watch a video advertisement, we can deliver an ad to that place.
Are the agencies buying into those platforms at this point?
It's early days. I think we're still at that learn stage from the connected TV marketplace, and I often relate it to where mobile was 3 years ago. The thing that we hopefully do as human beings is that we get better with things over time. It took us 7-8 years to get great at online video. We got better at video on tablet and smartphone in 3 years, and I'm hopeful that the connected TV maybe 1 or 2 years, and then everyone will understand the benefits and the realities, because it's a different consumer, but actually it's that big screen backing someone's living room, which some might say that you've just created a whole economy that's gone full circle, but the digitized version of that full circle. So, and it goes back really to the very first point I made, which is it's about reaching your consumers where they are when they're receptive to brand messages, rather than where you think they are and when they're not receptive to brand messages. And I think that's the bit that we're understanding about all those platforms. And like I say, it's early days. There's a growth of that enormously in the US because of the size and scale of the market. And that's growing here in the UK, and actually in some of the other markets, so Spain, the Nordic markets, France, we're having some good success in the connected TV space as well.